They have to get shut down.
I really like the idea of separate police departments being fully separate at this point. I just wonder how we could make more crime happen in certain areas that it would, like, encourage people up there.
This is a leather mask. That shit going right through.
So you give me permission to headshot your mask?
They asked to negotiate. Yeah, that was a negotiation. Move the fuck across the road. I said it to every cop that come up, and nobody wanted to do it. It's not bad cops in charge. It's not bad what they're doing. You know what I mean? I just think, like, you get it. You gotta have different cops that will handle it different ways. But I just think, like, and I'm trying to see it from CG's perspective and why they get frustrated with shit. And I think, while I don't agree that they get salty and whatever and complain about shit and all that sort of shit, I can understand that some cops are willing to go with things, like Clarkson and Bryan today, SGSO yesterday, and then others are just like instantly shutting things down and going for instant closure. There's nothing but, hey, we can get you a car-free passage, or they're storming in and shooting us. You know what I mean? There needs to be there just needs to be more, I think, more substance to it. But in saying that, like, I think we as criminals need to do the same.
It's supposed to just be Gunner.
We need to think more of what we're doing. Like, if we go to rob banks and jewelry stores and not really put much thought into it, we're sort of doing the same thing to them. You know what I mean? And if we want them to change, I think it's only fair that we sort of put in more effort in certain ways as well. Well, I mean, I don't even expect the PD to change. I just love the idea of, like, fucking Toretti building a police department, in all honesty. With the actual role players in it. Because I would fucking love to fuck with those people all day. I don't know, dude. The amount of fun I had, even as cop, with Toretti and those sort of characters was fucking tenfold better than the tryhards. And, you know, messing with them the other day just sort of, like, made me realize... Well, not just them, but other cops we've fucked with here and there. It made me realize that, like... There's still cops there that are willing to do shit, but they end up getting, like, fucking, I don't know. I feel like there's too many hard asses. Like, Gunner's the perfect example of what I feel like a good cop is. Everything he does is purely roleplay based. But he can be a hard ass or a dick when with the click of a finger, you know what I mean? Sometimes he's got to get it wrong on some people's ends. It's not always going to be perfect, but he is a character, dude. He's just a character. Be a fucking character. Don't be your fucking self, dude. What would your character do? Not what would you do? What would your character do needs to be thought more. And that's, but like I said, this needs to be both sides, so.
Hop in front of you.
What are we doing, bros?
Where you want to meet?
What are we doing, bros? Where the fuck is Kay and shit? Did they also... Oh, this guy. That bro.
AD went to sleep.
That's not just cops. I know, 100%, 100%. I agree, 100%. But the thing is, the cops are in a power that can really shape the roleplay in a lot of situations. That's not true, actually. I mean, criminals can do it too. I mean, it's fair to say we start the situations a lot of the time, so that's not necessarily true. But, yeah, I 100% know it's both sides, and that's why I say I don't agree that, CG will get salty and fucking rage at people at times, because they, you know, they will do similar things. But, you know, like, dude, I don't know, man. It's hard to want to roleplay with some of the police when they don't want to roleplay with you. And it's a thing that's never going to get resolved unless, that was actually Jalen, that's crazy. It's never going to get resolved unless, like, something happens where we can see... So something, dude, I just think, like, we need more gunners, honestly.
Bro, that pig is still there.
More STSO shit as well. I don't know if Gunner's in that police department as well, but, like, Gunner's fucking... Dude, imagine Gunner is, like, a sheriff or some shit like that. I feel like that'd be fucking insanely good. Not necessarily a sheriff of a current department or whatever, but, like, him just, like, having his own department would be fucking insane. Or even S-Fan and shit. You know, like, the people that are pure roleplay. Like, pure 100% fucking character.
My apartment, guys. I'm just gonna go sleep, yeah.
Because CG tries so hard to RP with cops. Yeah, no, I know they don't. I know they don't. But you got to understand, like, it's a lot easier to get frustrated with a police officer that is a self-insert than it is that someone you can know is being a character. You know what I mean? Because you can't read what a fucking self-insert is got to do. I mean, you can read what a self-insert is going to do. It's going to be the same mechanical bullshit every time. Whereas if it's going to be, I think it's worth having a discussion with some more people. Dude, we should do it on the podcast, honestly. We should do a podcast. Not today, but this weekend. Maybe we should do a podcast with some people and have a in-depth discussion with, like, pizza eaters and shit. But I really think, you know, if we want the criminals to shape up, it's only fair that you get role players in the police force as well. And I think it's easy to say, like, you know, so, you know, see, I will agree and say, like, CG has, like, fucking definite OOC shit that, you know, makes the roleplay happen. But you can't just say it's only CG that does this. It's obvious that, like, there's plenty of cops that have the same retaliation because, you know, they will have drama with CG and vice versa and shit like that. But it's like, you look, Gunner's just like a perfect example, or S-Fan is like a perfect example of, like, if S-Fan or Gunner ever shoots me, I'm never going to be fucking mad at them. Like, if I know it's them, I'm just going to be like, oh, you know, it's 100% roleplay. There's no questions asked. It was all about roleplay. And I can't say the same for majority of the other people in the server, cop or not. You know what I mean? I just see fucking pure roleplay from those guys. Reddy was saying that he wanted to go back to his Brian early days. Yeah, that'd be good, to be honest. I think, and that's why I want to play Frank on cop more, because I feel like being a character that's full-blown, like, a character with no OOC, you know, dramas involved, like Soze has, I think is much more healthy in the long run for everybody in the server. Bingle Dan. Well, dude, even Vigors, he's out there saying, like, why are people running around with class 2s and shit? And he's like a fucking goofball, you know what I mean? And I'm the same, dude. I get on Frank and I'm like, why is this shit even happening? And a lot of that is to do with, like, the OOC drama of, like, CG and cops and shit like that, so. There's no doubt about it. Make Gunner a leader of troopers then? If that was to happen, I'd wipe the troopers, in all honesty. But I still feel like a good refresh of the police department, and stricter enforcement on actual characters in general would be a good idea. I said it before. I think, like, if we had good people, good role players in the lead positions, people would be forced to role play with them because, you know, that's just how it would be. I don't think it's necessarily bad either, but, like, you know, obviously troopers don't have a leader at the moment because I'm never fucking playing on it. But I think what the problem is right now is, so, and I think, like, Kyle and Bass and shit will agree, that they don't purely control their department, right? There's people below them in a lot of positions that can essentially recruit, and they can, like, join either side, basically. But just imagine, right? And this was actually the idea at the start of 3.0. I don't know why it happened, but it was like everybody was, like, panicky. We didn't have enough police, all that sort of shit. But if you got to recruit your own cops and you were fully in charge of your department, I feel like it would be a much better experience, especially if you could sort of, like, say for instance, like, you know, this part of the PD, this part of the city, if a crime happens here, it would be a specific police department. If a crime happens here, it would be a specific police department. If a crime happens up here, it would be specific sheriff's department. Like maybe all of this area, like Vinewood and up, is their area. So wherever you go and do crime, you know what police force you're going to be like role playing with, and there's less chance of like you having a shittier experience or what you're going to get what you ask for, right? So if I rob this bank, I know I'm going to get this sheriff's office, this police department. If I rob Harmony, I know I'm going to get this sheriff's office type deal. And they would like lead the shit. So they'd be in control of the situation and tell other police what to do. You know what I mean? But I think the reality is that like a lot of these guys don't even know who's in their police department, and they didn't really have a say in who they recruited and shit. So we could have the general PD, which like all the doofuses would join, and then these guys would pick for their main PDs out of that pool, and like essentially just pick role players, like pure blood role players, dude. And they are the ones that control the scenarios. It isn't about, I mean, like there's gonna be drama and salt no matter what. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna fix everything, but at least if the lead people were always like the role players, I feel like it's going to be a whole lot more fun. How long until the wipe for Tarkov? When is that? I think the core problem is people focus too much on mechanics. Yeah, but it's brought into them. So the criminals teach the criminals, how to do things, and it becomes mechanical, and the cops do the same. Like, dude, think about all the good... Manny's a good example, okay? I feel like he started out as a full-blown goofy RPer, and then he became mechanical. Even when I played Francis, I did the same thing. I was the same sort of doofus. I came in as a fat cop. I'd be tired running upstairs. I'd be doing, like, roleplay shit. And then slowly I became mechanical. But it's not like civilians don't do the same thing. But there are cops out there that are like pure roleplay, and I don't think they're in the right spots. I feel like there's people in command that still aren't like full-blown roleplay characters. But like I said, this is the same for gangs. This is the same for gangs as well. And maybe the admin tools for gangs is how we start to enforce that a little harsher. Like, we can clean up the cops, I think, for sure. But, we need the gang system to have the same, system. And we do. Like, the whitelists are there now. So I think we can actually, go ahead and try something out. Would you ever replace Bass and Koil as HHC? I mean, I'm down to replace anybody, always, but it would have to be through an election system. So I don't think they'll get replaced because they have been voted in for that reason. You know what I mean? Like they've earned where they got to. But I think I've talked to Kyle and Salb about this, and they both sort of agree that like if they got full like recruitment power, their entire departments would change, and I feel like it would be healthier. So it was something we talked about like a month or so ago, and I think it's maybe we should just do it. Maybe we should just do it, and it would be a good time to do it because the heist update and shit's coming. It would create a bit of drama and excitement for the police to have more rank exposure and shit like that, and a meaning to recruitment and getting in a department instead of just being thrown in any sort of thing. It wouldn't be like, hey, pick a department. It would be like you have to earn to get into the department. There'll be the normal police force, and then you would have to earn to get into a police department, essentially. Ever thought about playing Nopixel India? Not really.
Wait, hello?
I might jump in there one day. I've always said that, but I don't know.
Wait, what the fuck?
Oh, what's up, Jalen?
At this point, I feel like it could hurt, bro. Like, there's no matter what we do, people complain. I don't give a shit. Dude, every time we've wiped or done something with the police department, everybody always says, oh, Koil's got to ruin the cops. Everyone's got to fuck it up. It's got to be shit. But it's like always brings in so much good roleplay. It's the same when all these criminals cry about these long court cases and shit when they get into them. But at the end of them, they're always saying, oh, that was fucking sick. That was actually fun as fuck. I'm glad we actually did it. It's just like people people in this fucking server are scared of change because it revolves around them making money and content, usually as streamers. They're scared of what could happen. They really are, and it's not because of their in-character things. It's because of their OOC mentality on what could change out of character and money they could be making and shit like that. People just need to like, I feel like it's not, I understand that there's going to be dramas and shit for it, but every time it's ever happened, it doesn't matter who it was, at the end of the day, they end up getting over it, and they're like, oh, you know what? That was better, dude. Like, when have we done something to the police department involving wipes or re-elections that hasn't ended up being, like, entertaining and good roleplay for a while? Like, just name a time. Even though, like, Reddit and YouTube will fucking lose their minds over it and look for the worst apocalypse drama that could possibly happen. When does that ever happen? It never happens, dude. I really feel like the police department has gotten better and better and better and better slowly over time. Like, if you think the cops are bad now in terms of anything, like, just, dude. I feel like right now we have a lot of good role players in the cop force. And if they get full control of it, I feel like it's going to be even better. Do you think Koil would say no to having like full control of everybody who's in his police department and having like full control of how it functions and shit? I don't think he would. Like think about Pred with the ultimate power. Like think about like the fucking drama and shit that would happen there. I feel like it would be good. Just give them a blank roster and say, there you go. This is your police department. You start recruiting however the fuck you want, but like obviously base it as much on roleplay character as possible. That is what he wants. Yeah, I mean that's what I said. I have chat with him. I think everyone's sort of on the same page in terms of what they do want. So I'm not sure what's happened with Cerebus and what's going on there, but maybe we can tie that roleplay into that sort of shit happening. I have no idea average. Like, I haven't been watching them. But there's a reason, like, Saab and shit are there, because we know that they want to, roleplay and shit like that. But I feel like they sort of got fucked with the entire, hey, let's zerg 50 cops and recruit them. And now that the server's slowed down with crime and shit, you're starting to see, like, the good role players in cops sort of get washed out by the fucking meatheads in cops, you know what I mean? Pred keeps killing people. Yeah, he's role playing though. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? He's still being a fucking character. Bass is one of the few no voice Andys who's actually funny. Yeah, but the thing is, a voice isn't 100% what makes a character. He still has the same traits that he's had for a while. You know what I mean? Like I could list out majority of cops. You'd either not know who their name is, or you wouldn't like, say what's different about them to another cop. But Bass has gone through like a heap of crazy SBS shit, and he's been suspended, and the cat incident and the waterboarding, and he does shit that isn't the standard as a cop. That creates RP and drama, you know what I mean? There are some great RPs in PD, bro. There's honestly, PD right now has more RPs in it than it's ever had, and that's why I'm saying, like, if we really focus on keeping the RPs in and the fucking monotone characterless Andys out, I really feel like it can change like how everybody interacts with PD. Because that shit, I mean, I feel, honestly, chat, I feel bad that I threw grenades at the SDSO in Sandy Shores. Is it SS Sheriff's Department? SS what is it called? Whatever the Sandy Shores fucking police department is. I feel bad that we threw grenades at them because I didn't realize that they actually wanted to fucking roleplay. I just thought they were fucking full goofing. We were gonna go up there. They got a 13A, but they didn't. They wanted to fucking interact and roleplay and shit. Shut up, King. You fucking idiot. I know what you're trying to do. Toretti's been a god for roleplay forever. Honestly, he really has been. But his department was one that was made separate, and I think he has full power over it, right? Like he's been able to select the people going into it. So one of the problems is when you have cops doing stuff with a little flavor, everyone calls for them to be fired, demoted, etc. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Those guys that usually complain about that are the fucking boring, monotone ones that don't roleplay. So I think if we give the right people pure control over their department, the people that don't get put into departments will be like, hey, why is no one recruiting me to their department? And probably realize that, you know, maybe they need a fucking roleplay. And then with now that the admins have the fucking now that the admins have control over who's in gangs and shit, we can really start to like push people out. And honestly, dude, if people like fucking Randy and shit get banned, IMO, they should be kicked out of the gang system for a week at least. Like just as a base. And I'm not saying right now, by the way. I'm saying if we fucking go forward with the police shit. We need to go harsh on both sides if we really want to change things up. Because I feel like, you know, Randy and Rami, like, honestly, they can actually roleplay really well. And K can too. But it only takes one outburst for shit to go fucking sour real quick. And, you know, there to be dramas on both sides. So if we're to try and clear things up, I think we need to go harsh on both sides. And that's a good punishment. If you can't use the gang tools as a criminal, you're not going to be able to start heists. You're not going to be able to sell drugs. You're not going to be able to do any of that shit. And I think it's only fair that if we got to, like, scrutinize cops with whitelists, we should do the same for criminals, 100%. And that's half the reason I wanted this system, so. The OOC molding from both sides has to be... Well, dude, CG's been banned. Let's be honest. These guys are getting banned. It is happening. And I don't think there's that much OOC mold from police at the moment. But what the issue is, like I said, is there's just characterless people in there. And I think it's very easy to get upset at characterless people shooting you in the fucking head. You know, just think about Francis if I was chasing, like... Tony, right? Even if I was on cop and Tony was on a different character, you can just imagine the dumb shit we'd be saying to each other. Because we know at the end of the day, yeah, you know, one of us might go to jail or whatever, but we know for a fact everything we're doing is for fun. It's not because of, like, I want to win this or there's, like, some OOC shit to it. It's just, like, fucking pure degen shit. Same with, like, fucking Clarkson and me and shit like that, you know what I mean? And I feel like honestly we can get that vibe with a lot more people. What have I got, dude? I got some posts today. I gotta see what it is. CG, you haven't copped a ban in nearly a year. Yeah, I did. I'm sure that's what they tell everybody. Fuck CG, bro. I mean, I'm sorry, you know. I know everybody thinks I'm a CG fanboy, but I don't really deal with bans, but I still agree that, like, almost every time they've been banned, I'm, like, in 100% agreement with, what they do. And their biggest downfall is, when they get done dirty, they usually salt out, and they're the ones that cop the ban because it's worse than what happened to them. Instead of them just being like, hey, this was shitty, or whatever.